Hello, guys, and welcome back to our first episode of the new Chasing Justice. In today's episode, we're going to be covering the case of an unidentified young girl who was found deceased in Opelika, Alabama. This case is still currently unsolved in the sense that the body of the unidentified young African American female child has yet to be identified. As always, if you guys would like to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave any comments down below, any case suggestions. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chasing Justice, rebooted, Season 1, Episode 1, the case of the Opelika County, Alabama baby Jane Doe. On the 28th of January 2012, the unidentified remains of a young African American female child were discovered in Opelika County, Alabama, which is located in the USA. Now, at the scene of the discovery, they were unfortunately unable to tell who this little girl was, but they did find this little girl's skull as well as bones and other bone parts at the scene. Also, they didn't determine her ethnicity and her skin type, tone, etc. up until later on in their investigation. That's how they came to the conclusion that this was a female child, and also this female child was young and was African American. Upon further examination and investigation, it was determined that the body that they had found was that of a child. And according to sources, they believe that the Opelika, Alabama baby Jane Doe had been in this particular location for around 8 months to about 2 years before she was discovered. Now, what is worth mentioning here before we get a little bit further into this case is there was no cases in the Opelika area or any surrounding areas in those 8 months to 2 years where anybody, any family, friends, relatives, nobody had reported a young child of African American descent missing that matched this girl's description, or even reported anybody that was a child that was missing around this time. Baby Jane Doe is of black heritage, and she is believed to be between the ages of 3 years to 7 years, although because of the state of the remains and the fact that they didn't have all the remains, all the body parts, therefore they couldn't definitively say that the Opelika, Alabama baby Jane Doe was a specific age. So the approximate age is between 3 years and 7 years. And again, unfortunately, due to the conditions that her remains were found in, investigating services, police, and people that put, those face reconstructions together, they didn't really have a lot to work off of due to the fact that the remains were in such a bad state, and there weren't really that many remains as well. There was the skull and some bones and some bone parts, but they were unfortunate in their attempts to try and identify her height and her weight. Now, the police and investigating services do believe that the Opelika County, Alabama baby Jane Doe's whole body discovery was, they believed that this was actually a homicide, meaning that they believe that this young child, who is just an innocent child, has been brutally murdered. Like I said, they found her skull and just a few bone parts, not much else. So this child clearly has been brutally murdered, which is incomprehensible. It's a child. And I don't know, something that really stuck out to me was, again, nobody reporting that this child was missing. No family members, friends, relatives, nobody from the community in Opelika or surrounding communities. So let's move on to our investigation as our chase for justice continues. Upon further investigation, it was highly suspected, that the Opelika, Alabama baby Jane Doe was severely malnourished, and there was very, very, very high suspicions that this young child had been abused. Upon investigation further, they were also able to determine that she had something wrong with her left eye. She was unable to see really out of her left eye. And they also said that this can be because of malnourishment. It could be caused because of the abuse. They don't actually know which one out of the two it is, or whether it was something completely different. But yes, it is believed that the Opelika, Alabama baby Jane Doe had an eye deficiency, or she was blind in one eye. It was kind of hard for me to get a solid conclusion as to what was wrong with her eye. But in a lot of articles that I read, and in a lot of sources that I've studied, they describe it as an eye deformity. So in helps, or in hopes of identifying who she is, maybe getting some more of an idea of who she is, or possible family members, relatives, investigating services and the police began to do isotope tests. Now you may be wondering, what are isotope tests? Isotope tests are tests that are conducted on one's teeth, if I've read this right, and they can work out pretty much what kind of water you drank from where, because every water has different chemicals in it. So they were able to work out, upon their further investigation, that the Opelika, Alabama baby Jane Doe possibly resided in somewhere in the south. Also, from these isotope tests, investigating services were able to come to the conclusion that it was highly likely that she either lived in Alabama, or she lived around the surrounding areas, towns, neighborhoods, cities of that area, upon the isotope tests. Another theory that police believe, that she is actually from Alabama. Sorry, stutter. Alabama, or she is from another town that is close by, is the location of the body. The Ocalipa, Alabama County Jane Doe was found in an area that was hard to access and was quite rural, if that's the right word. I could be wrong, but it was an area that was not the easiest to get to. You would know it a lot better, and you would have more chance of coming across this area if you were a local, or you have lived in the area, or you've been walking around the area, or you've done a lot of driving around the area. The police and investigating services don't think that, they don't think it's likely that it's actually somebody that's not from the area or surrounding areas. They believe it could be someone even still living in Opelika. And still at this point in the investigation, investigating services and police had no idea still, as of yet, who she was, what her name was. She remained nameless, she remained faceless, and they did some reconstructions behind me, as you can see on the screen here, of what she may have looked like in life. Now bear this in mind, and also bear in mind the photo that I showed you guys at first, which is an e-fit, basically what she would have looked like in life. And if you want to pause the video and go back to the beginning and look at the picture that I had up at the beginning on the screen, and look at the picture now, I highly suggest you do this, because this next bit is gonna come in very handy. Now the case sat pretty much cold and pretty much at a stop up until 2016, when somebody came forward with some pictures of a potential girl that matched the Opelika County, Alabama Jane Doe. In 2016, a Bible teacher at a vacation Bible school came forward to police with some pictures of a girl that she believed matched and could possibly be the unidentified Opelika, Alabama County baby Jane Doe. Now, although she may not be the Opelika Jane Doe, she had a lot of similarities. She had the issue with her eye. You could see it in some pictures I'm going to show you a little bit further on. Of the pictures the woman provided, you can see there's like a weird light in the girl's eye. She matched the E-fits very well. She matched the clay models. I'm sure the clay, what I've just shown you guys, the pictures on the last slide, it's strikingly similar. But please, I'm not saying this is confirmed. Just take this as theory. I'm just saying keep an open mind because we don't know 100% if it is or it isn't. The unidentified girl in the photographs that the Vacation Bible School teacher had provided, her skin tone matched exactly that or was extremely similar to the Opelika, Alabama baby Jane Doe. Not only that, they had the exact same hair type. And the girl in the photographs that I will show you guys later on, she had braids in the picture, box braids, possibly cornrows. Now, this Vacation Bible Class College, from what I could find on research, it was open to the community, or you could take like a minivan would come and pick you up, or a minibus type of thing, and would take you to this vacation Bible college school thing, and it was open to the public. People could walk in. You could go get yourself some lunch. You could obviously be there to learn about the Bible. And what people were saying about this girl from the photographs was nobody knew who this girl was at the Bible school, and nobody recognized her. Nobody even knew how she got there. So we don't know if she got there via the minibus or the van thing. I'm not exactly sure what it is that comes and picks them up. They don't know if she walked there by herself. They don't know if she was dropped off there, whether she came with somebody, maybe a stranger, and he kept his distance or whatnot. We don't know. Now, what could have helped this case a whole lot and could have been a possible breakthrough was if they have had registered down the people that were attending these Bible vacation college things. But unfortunately, they didn't. They never kept a written record of who attended, what their name was, their address, phone number, none of that. So they had the only thing they had on this unidentified girl that could possibly be a lead was the photos that this Bible vacation teacher woman had brung in. Now, where that kind of comes at a stop still as well is what I'm trying to get through is the fact that the no registration, nobody knew who she was. There was nobody that went to the vacation college that knew her, that recognized her. And basically the minivans would pick up people from the main town and surrounding towns, so she could be from anywhere essentially, and with no registration, nothing in black and white, the case hit yet again another standstill. So now that the police and investigating services, they had these photos of this unidentified young girl who seemed to match, or if not match, she was a very, very high chance of being the Opelika, Alabama baby Jane Doe. Now what they were doing was, now that they had these photos, but they came to a stop still because of the registration thing and people not knowing who she was. They decided to actually get in contact with different schools from around town, different towns and surrounding areas, okay? And still, they were unable to find any kind of record of a girl matching her description, of a girl matching anything about her. There was just no records about her, no public records, no school records, no registration from the Bible camp records. The people at the camp didn't know her personally, they didn't have any names, nothing like that. So once again, this case hits that standstill, that stop point. Now, a few theories that were brung forward, bear in mind these are theories slash hypotheses, so please don't treat this as actual fact, but a few possibilities and hypotheses that were brung forward about why there was no information publicly on this unidentified young girl that had been found deceased, or the girl in the photographs. There are a few different theories and hypotheses that I do believe we need to take into consideration and somewhat, at least at the very least, explore. Number one, she was a slave child. Now, what I mean by this is she was purely born to be sold into whatever slavery that be, whether that be domestic slavery, sexual slavery, those kinds of things without saying too much. I'm trying not to be too graphic. Another theory was that maybe her family just didn't want her in the system. Maybe she was a child that they didn't want, that they couldn't afford to have, or maybe they didn't love and they didn't want to have any kind of record of her. But the theories and the hypotheses are very, very, very much endless, especially when you have a young girl who's been found deceased and she has no identifying information, and then all of a sudden these photos turn up of somebody that looks remarkably similar to the E-fits and the clay models they did, so on and so forth. But it's very, very weird that there's absolutely zero public record of this unidentified deceased young girl and the girl in the photographs. Another theory as well, before we move on to the next point, is that she was just kept out of the public for whatever reason. Therefore, there would have been, if this theory was true, there would have been no public records. There would be no school records. There would be no people that were familiar with this girl, that knew this girl, because obviously if she's not being let out of the house, or she's not being put around people in a public situation, i.e., making friends, family members, then the chance of people knowing who she is on a wider scale is reduced massively because she's being kept inside and she's not being allowed out. But that's from a hypothetical standpoint. That's a hypothesis. It's a theory. Please don't treat that as fact. So the photos behind me are the photos that I mentioned earlier. These are the photos 1, 2 and 3 of what the Bible teacher had handed in to the police back in 2016. Now, let me just discuss a few things with you. There are remarkable similarities between these three pictures and the E-fits, the clay models, and the sketches of what they drew her to, of what they drew of this unidentified girl and what they believed her to have looked like in life. So let's take a look at these pictures really quick and let me explain them to you. So we have the cornrows and the braids. Very similar face shape over here. If you go back and you look at the sketches I had up, very similar to the sketches that we had. And this is the most significant more than anything. As you can see, I don't know if you can see right up close, but you can obviously, I'll put a link in the description box so you guys can see the images online for yourself. But she has a weird reflector in her eye, which supports the, could possibly support the eye deformity issue. Now again, nobody knew who this girl was. Nobody knew her name, nobody knew how she came to that particular Bible thing, but like I said, they had like mini buses and things that would pick people up, or she could have walked, you know. So again, it's a case that keeps hitting dead end after dead end after dead end, and more hypotheses and more questions and more theories come up the more we look into this case. Okay, so here are some e-fits of the of what the police and the investigating services had done of what they believe the Opelika, Alabama County baby Jane Doe to have looked like in life. And she does actually, especially here with this one, that's where I would say that she looks, this e-fit looks remarkably similar to this picture. And also if you look at the side-by-side view, they match as well. Again, I will post links to these pictures in the description box so you guys can check them out for yourself and let me know your opinion. But in my personal opinion, but please don't go off of my personal opinion, but just for the sake of the video, for my personal opinion, I think there's a very high chance that this is the unidentified Opelika, Alabama County baby Jane Doe. I really do. If you really study that face of the e-fit and the face in the photographs, the eye, the hair, the skin tone, it's a possibility. Although not confirmed, it is a possibility. But again, I will leave these pictures linked down below so you guys can access them in case you want to do comparisons for yourself. I know a lot of you guys like to do that. There was also news reports and news appeals made, and also there was unidentified posters given out, and e-fits were published around towns, and still after numerous attempts and numerous reaches out to the public and public appeals, still nobody came forward to identify this child. Nobody came forward to say that they'd ever spoken to this child, they'd seen this child. The child's family didn't come forward for whatever reason, we may never know. It's just sad, honestly, it's sad. But I also want to bring up a possible hypothesis here and a theory. Her family could have possibly had something to do with this. Now, this is a very widely believed theory. Now, the only reason police haven't been able to make an arrest or anything like that is very simple. Because she's unidentified. They don't have anything concrete that says, yes, this is who this girl is, this is her identity, this is who she's related to. The only thing, I would say the strongest piece of evidence or anything like that that could possibly crack this case, the strongest thing that they have are the photos that the Bible church teacher had given to the police. That would be my theory, and I think that maybe she possibly was brung into this world for a specific reason, hence there being no public records. She never went to school because the schools that they found in the surrounding towns didn't know her, never heard of her, had no record of her. And if only the Bible people would have had the Bible school, if only they would have had some way of registrating and some way of getting everybody's name down. And I hope they've done that for the future. I hope they do that now. So if something like this ever happens again, that we are able to not hit so many dead ends and so many stop stills, and because this case is sad. It's a child. No child deserves to go through what this girl went through. It's heartbreaking, and it really does tug at your heartstrings, because I couldn't imagine having a child and letting this happen to my child. Do you know what I mean? Still to this day, so as of July 2020, the Opelika, Alabama County baby Jane Doe, she is still yet to be 100% identified. There still hasn't been any family, any friends, anybody that could have possibly known this child besides the Bible teacher. She's the only person that's came forward in regards to this case. There's been no major leads, there's been no suspects, there's only questions and theories and hypotheses, nothing in solid black and white other than those photos. But again, the problem with the photos is we don't have any way of confirming if that is actually 100% her, because none of her family are coming forward, none of her friends are coming forward, Nobody at this Bible vacation school thing knew who she was. They had no registration requirement, so they had no name, no address. Maybe if they had those things, maybe this case would have had a much higher chance and probably would have been cracked and solved by now. Opelika, Alabama is not a highly populated town, therefore, there is mass speculation that the killer or killers of this innocent young child are in fact local. During one of the public appeals, one of the police officers had actually said, in such a small town, there is not a chance in this world that that nobody knows what's happened. Somebody must know something, whether that be in Opelika or that be in surrounding towns and cities. Somebody somewhere must know something. Somebody clearly has had a child. Somebody has clearly raised that child, and that child has now vanished. So somebody out there had a child around the time of 2012 with them. They gave birth a few years prior, possibly 3 to 7 years prior to 2012, but they definitely had a child with them around the 2012 area, and maybe she disappeared around that time. Do you know what I'm saying? So there is somebody out there that knows what's happened, and if she was kept away from the public, it's very much possible that it's only those close and within that immediate family that know what happened. Does that make sense? Currently, there is a $10,000 to a $20,000 reward for anybody that has any information that may lead to the identification of this unidentified young child, or anybody that may have been involved directly or indirectly with the case. So I urge anybody that may have information to please call the following numbers. So if you have any information on this case and you are in the States, you can contact the Opelika Police Department at 334-705-5220. The Opelika, Alabama County baby Jane Doe remains unidentified as of July 2020, and hopefully with the chasing of justice we will be able to bring her killer or killers to justice, and hopefully one day she may regain her name and her face, and maybe we can put her to rest and celebrate her life, even though she may have lived a short life, a very tortured life. At least we can give her her name back. She can regain her name and she can be laid to rest finally. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all so very much for watching. It means the absolute world to me. And thank you for taking your time out of the day to hear a case that isn't from the UK. I know I cover a lot of UK cases, but this one isn't from the UK and it isn't really a well-known case. So I really do appreciate you guys watching this video, and anybody that has information, I urge you to please get in contact with the relevant and necessary people. So without any further ado, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe. If you have any comment suggestions, please leave them down below in the comments. Please turn on your notifications bell as well, that way you can be notified whenever I upload a video. Now that I have everything I need to carry on with my YouTube filming and the continuing of these episodes, I'll be posting a lot more and try and get it more frequent as well. Like I said, we have a lot of pre-filmed episodes that are going to be coming out to you anyway. So yeah, there's a lot of content coming. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and together we can all be successful in the chase for justice, one way or another.